Hey guys, my name is Maya and my job in the UPT Digital development team is as the artist. So practically my job is that I listen to the writers and the game designers and gain a fair idea of what their game is about and take that information to design all the aspects of it, like the characters, items and buildings, so the modelers and graphic designers have an idea of what to create and what it should look like. So to get started on our very rough sketch, we can open a program like Expression Studios, Photoshop, or just Paint. And usually if you're using a computer, you can use a tablet. So beginning with the creature, we already know that the game designers want to create a moon hippopotamus hybrid, so we can start drawing straight away. This character is obviously moon, so it's going to be round. Even though we're going to give it quite a large head and body parts, it's going to be relatively small compared to its torso. And so far we've thought about the size of the character. We can focus on the other things like its colour, its expression, all the major things that bind this character roughly together. You can use the backstories of it to determine what it looks like for its personality and do the tiny details of it, like its craters on its bodies, how many teeth it has, how many toes it has on each foot. And when you get your really terrible first sketch, you can go through this whole process and you eventually end up with your finished project. You can hand that back to the writers and designers who throw input on whether this character is the type that they imagine while they're creating the game, and also to the modelers who can decide whether it's possible for them to make it look like they're drawing or even just similar. So if the designers feel that it's good enough to use the concept in the game, you can pass your sketches on to the modelers like Christian, who start the next step of the game development. So as an artist, it's always really important that you put a lot of creativity into your concepts, because the way that the characters are going to look are pretty much going to rely on how much effort you put in to make this game one of a kind.
Alright, hi everyone, my name is Christian Schoenfeld and I'm the lead modeler here at UPT Digital. I'm a year 13 and have been modeling for approximately 2 years. So, what are 3D models? 3D models are the parts of the game that you see the environment around you. They're the complete visual experience of the game. Yeah, that is Supreme Command, great game. Anyway, so 3D modeling is the process of developing a mathematical representation of any 3D object or surface. The type of modeling we do here at UPT Digital is called polygonal modeling. Polygonal models are the primary type used in real-time rendering, like computer games. Polygonal modeling defines points in 3D space called vertices. Here we see the vertices are the yellow dots. Vertices are connected to each other with edges. This combination of vertices and edges forms a 3D mesh, or wireframe. So, when working on a model for a project, I will first get concept art and import that into Autodesk Maya. From there, I will start by generating a basic shape and modifying it so it looks about right. I continue to add vertices and edges until I get the shape I'm happy with. So, here are some examples of the models we've done in UPT Digital. We've got an AA-12 shotgun, MacBook Pro laptop, Nissan 370Z, and our very own moon hippo. Missing a wireframe for that, but sorry. So, once the model is completed, it needs to be textured. I can either do this myself or pass it on to our freelance designer, Joe.
Hey guys, I'm Joe. I'm a freelance designer at UPT Digital, and as such I'm granted the freedom to work on my own project as well as helping others with their own individual projects. Make it stop. Normally I would be presented with a task I can choose to do. My skill set is mostly around illustration and textures, so normally I would work on textures and conceptual art. Conceptual art is the artist's visualization of an asset or scene. This makes the modeler's job easier and gives them a more defined goal and keeps the game more open to visual innovation. Concept art also allows artists to create a unique aesthetic which can then be applied to a game, giving the player a more enjoyable and visually appealing experience. Some great examples of this is Braid and Team Fortress 2. Here's an example of this aesthetic element applied to some of my earlier work for a game. By changing the shape of the sun, I've effectively changed the visual style of the game. Now, onto my other build, texturing. First thing to do is create a UV map. UV mapping is a method of applying a texture to an object. It sets a frame for the texture as a reference to the model. Like folding out a model, it draws each vertex to a two-dimensional map. Each position on the map represents a position on the three-dimensional model. The texture is easily applied with correct coordinates, allowing the texture to create additional details and adjustments to the image. This process doesn't need to be created in this order, but it helps someone new to the texturing process. Now that our model and texture is completed, it can be handed to our asset manager.
Hi everyone, my name is Tris, and today I'll be running through the basics of how to assemble a game. As an asset manager, my job is to get all of these exciting models, textures, scripts, and anything else. Then I put them into their correct place in the project. So first of all, I need to import all of my assets from the desktop, so let's do that now. You may notice I imported all of my models, textures, and scripts, but I've also imported these files here for prefabs. They hold prefab data including meshes, textures, components, and of course size, position, and rotation. This makes my job a lot quicker and easier because I don't have to input these values. As an asset manager, I'll generally write a directory tree in a text editor so I can keep track of where everything is in my project and what needs to be done. However, in this case, the project is small, so I can see all my assets right here as it is. I will also do this often when I'm moving files from one project to another. Now let's drag the prefabs into the project. So now the world is more or less assembled. If I click on the player prefab in the game, on the right pane you will notice there are a few characteristics of the character that are called components. From the script that tells it to move to a rigid body that sorts out collision. Now I have all the components in place. Mitchell can make it come to that.
Hey, I'm Mitchell, and I'm a programmer in UPT Digital. For this game, we're going to have to do some quick programming to make a wee monster friend move. Now, we're going to have to make a move, eat the asteroids, and save the Earth. But first, let's talk about the job of the programmer. The programmer has quite an important job. They're going to be making everything move, shoot, interact, and will really do generally anything. So there's sort of quite an important role in the game's development riff-raff. And another key role that they're in charge of is debugging, which is endlessly reading through hours of code and making sure that it's not going to ruin the whole game with one simple line of code. Okay, now let's do some quick programming to make sure our wee monster friend can move. At the moment, I'm just going to write an if statement saying that if you press down the A key or the D key, he's going to move left and right. And that is simply adjusting the position via +1 or -1, so he's going to move left and right. Now, if I remember correctly, that is the A key. Am I right? Cool. Now I will be working on the D key. If input.key down, keycode.d. Last position equal .x -1 or +1, one of the two. Doesn't really matter. You can move either way. Okay, great. Now it looks like the programming's done. Let's quickly test the game. Now Jay will come up and talk to you about Microsoft technologies.
student at Unlimited, and I'm one of the programmers at UPT Digital. I'm going to be talking about some of the applications that we've made and the software that we use. I'm going to focus on two of the applications, Blockworld and Hotman. Blockworld is a 2D platformer that's been made in Visual Studio using XMA4. Visual Studio is an integrated developer environment, or IDE, that Microsoft has made to allow people to develop applications in different programming languages. My personal preference is C#, as Microsoft has released a framework called XMA that makes it easier to make games. Using Visual Studio, I've created an improved version of the Windows phone. Most of the gameplay remains the same, but I've had to make several changes to make it easier to use. Firstly, I had to redesign my control scheme, as the PC uses a keyboard and mouse input to move and shoot with it. Obviously, the phone has neither. So I've recalibrated it to use touch input. Shooting was also hard to do on the Windows phone. So I removed shooting completely from the game and replaced it with an aura system, which damages enemies within a certain radius of the player, and that the player is able to turn on and off. Deploying the applications for Windows Phone was as simple as changing the build target in the IDE and plugging in the Windows Phone. Visual Studio automatically copies the project and opens it. Finished. Hotman is a Silverlight application that's been made by Dean. It makes use of the phone's integration with Bing to load map data and display it. It then asks the user to find a city or town on the map, and the user is given points for how close they are to the actual position and the time it took them to find it. Visual Studio is an amazing tool that Microsoft provides for free to schools. It makes it so much easier to develop for the Windows Phone, Xbox 360, and PC. In fact, it's incredible.
Hey, it's me again. Now to talk about NCEA. Well, NCEA is really integrated into UPT Digital. Like right now, I'm probably getting assessed for talking to you right here. And we're always looking for fun, interesting and new ways to get NCEA. Like you could get English credits for writing the hub documentation in the game, science for writing the physics of a game, or maths for doing insanely long mathematical calculations in your game. So NCEA is pretty well wound into UPT Digital, and thanks for coming.
Project manager for UPT Digital, and I can't tell you how pleased we are to be in Wellington. It's compared to Christchurch. And we definitely couldn't be here without our sponsors, so I'd really like to thank these guys for making it possible for us to come up and be here. And we don't want to go home, so if anyone wants to put us up for a few years. Thanks very much.